Take some Tylenol for the pain, he suggested as he studied me. It doesn't hurt that bad, I insisted. It sounds like you are extremely lucky, Dr. Cullen said, smiling as he signed my chart with a flourish. Lucky Edward happened to be standing next to me, I admitted with a hard glance at the subject of my statement. Oh, well, yes, Dr. Cullen agreed, suddenly occupied with the papers in front of him. And then he looked away at Tyler and walked to the next bed. My intuition flickered. The doctor was in on it. I'm afraid that you'll have to stay with us just a little bit longer, he said to Tyler, and began checking his cuts. As soon as the doctor's back was turned, I moved to Edward's side. Can I talk to you for a minute? I hissed under my breath. He took a step back from me, his jaw suddenly clenched. Your father is waiting for you, he said through his teeth. I glanced at Dr. Cullen and Tyler. I'd like to speak with you alone if you don't mind, I pressed. He glared and then turned his back and strolled down a long room. I nearly had to run to keep up. As soon as we turned the corner into the short hallway, he spun around and faced me. What do you want? He asked, sounding annoyed. His eyes were cold. His unfriendliness intimidated me. My words came out with less severity than I intended. You owe me an explanation, I reminded him. I saved your life. I don't owe you anything. I flinched back at the resentment in his voice. You promised. Bella, you hit your head. You don't know what you're talking about. His tone was cutting. My temper flared now, and I glared defiantly at him. There's nothing wrong with my head. He glared back. What do you want from me, Bella? I want to know the truth, I said. I want to know why I'm lying for you. What do you think happened? He snapped. It came out in a rush. Well, all I know is that you weren't anywhere near me. Tyler didn't see you either, so don't tell me I hit my head too hard. That van was going to crush us both, and it didn't. And your hands left dents in the side of it, and you left a dent in the other car, and you're not hurt at all. And the vent should have smashed my legs, but you were holding it up. I could hear how crazy it sounded, and I couldn't continue. I was so mad I could feel the tears coming. I tried to force them back by grinding my teeth together. He was staring at me incredulously, but his face was tense, defensive. You think I lifted a van off of you? His tone questioned my sanity, but it only made me more suspicious. It was like a perfectly deliberate line by a skilled actor. I merely nodded, once jaw tight. Nobody will believe that, you know. His voice held an edge of derision now. I'm not going to tell anybody, I said each word slowly, carefully, controlling my anger. Surprise split across his face. Then why does it matter? It matters to me, I insisted. I don't like to lie, so there better be a good reason why I'm doing it. Can't you just jank me and get over it? Thank you. I waited, fuming and expectant. You're not going to let it go, are you? No. In that case, I hope you enjoy disappointment. We scowled at each other in silence. I was the first to speak, trying to keep myself focused. I was in danger of being distracted by his livid, glorious face. It was like trying to stare down a destroying angel. Why did you even bother? I asked frigidly. He paused, and for a brief moment his stunning face was unexpectedly vulnerable. I don't know, he whispered. And then he turned his back on me and walked away. I was so angry it took me a few minutes till I could move. When I could walk, I made my way slowly to the exit at the end of the hallway. The waiting room was more unpleasant than I feared. It seemed like every face I knew in Forks was there, staring at me. Charlie rushed to my side. I put up my hands. There's nothing wrong with me, I assured him. I was still aggravated, not in the mood for chit-chat. What did the doctor say? Dr. Cullen saw me and he said that I was fine and that I could go home. I sighed. Mike and Jessica and Eric were all there, beginning to converge on us. Let's go, I urged. Charlie put one hand behind my back, not quite touching me, and led me to the glass doors at the exit. I waved sheepishly at my friends, hoping to convey that they didn't need to worry anymore. It was a huge relief, the first time I ever felt that way, to get into the cruiser. We drove in silence. I was so wrapped up in my thoughts that I barely knew Charlie was there. I was positive that Edward's defensive behavior in the hall was a confirmation of the bizarre things I could still hardly believe I witnessed. When we got to the house, Charlie finally spoke. You'll need to call Renee. He hung his head guilty. I was appalled. You told Mom? Sorry. I slammed the cruiser doors a little harder than necessary on my way out. My mom was in hysterics, of course. I had to tell her I felt fine at least 30 times before she would calm down. She begged me to come home, forgetting the fact that home was empty at the moment. But her pleas were easier to resist than I thought. I was consumed by the mystery that Edward presented, and more than a little obsessed with Edward himself. Stupid, stupid, stupid. It wasn't as eager to escape Forks as I would be, as any normal, sane person would be. I decided I might as well go to bed early that night. Charlie continued to watch me anxiously, and it was getting on my nerves. I stopped on my way to grab 3 Tylenol from the bathroom. They did help, and as the pain eased, I drifted to sleep. That was the first night I dreamed of Everett Cullen. Chapter 4, Invitations. In my dream it was very dark, and what dim light there was seemed to be radiating from Edward's skin. I couldn't see his face, just his back as he walked away from me, leaving me in the darkness. No matter how fast I ran, I couldn't catch up with him. No matter how loud I called, he never turned. Troubled, I woke in the middle of the night. I couldn't sleep again for what seemed like a very long time. After that, he was in my dream nearly every night, but always on the periphery, never within reach. The month that followed the accident was uneasy, tense, and at first embarrassing. To my dismay, I found myself the center of attention for the rest of that week. Tyler Crowley was impossible, following me around, obsessed with making amends to me somehow. I tried to convince him what I wanted more than anything was for him to forget all about it, especially since nothing had actually happened to me, but he remained insistent. He followed me between classes and sat at a now crowded lunch table. Mike and Eric were even less friendly toward him than they were toward each other, which made me think I worried that I gained another unwelcome fan. No one seemed concerned about Edward, though I'd explained over and over that he was a hero, how he pulled me out of the way and had nearly been crushed too. I tried to be convincing. Jessica, Mike, Eric, and everyone else always commented that they hadn't even seen him there until the van was pulled away. I wondered to myself why no one else had seen him standing so far away before he was suddenly and possibly saving my life. With chagrin, I realized the probable cause. No one else was aware as Edward as I always was. No one else watched him the way I did. How pitiful.